Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and pause intermittently here and there to talk about things that are going on, to better explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. Without further ado, here we go. So this is an incident that occurred in October of 2021, and they are just now releasing this within a few days of now, and time of recording right now is June 19th. Actually, I think it was just within the last couple of days, June 19th, 2022, that this video was released by Los Angeles County Sheriff. But the incident occurred in October of 2021. So I would imagine that after this shooting occurred, the investigation, the court stuff has taken this long for the incident to be cleared, and they are now releasing the video from this incident.
This following critical incident briefing is intended.
We'll skip through this. So this is like 2 minutes long of just
understanding
talking
investigation to see maybe fact or defend against an attack.
Now, when I say that, like, I guess in a way maybe I'm being a little bit of a hypocrite because I can get long-winded on stuff too. But like, holy shit, like 2 fucking minutes of talking about this shit, like that's a lot. And when you think about, I don't know how many critical incident videos they've released, but I mean, if this is a 2-minute spiel, every time that they do one of these things, I mean, that adds up. That's that's a lot of time right there.
Hack. On Sunday, October 10th, 2021, at approximately 4:53 p.m., 2 deputies assigned to the Pico Rivera Sheriff's Station were patrolling in the 10,000 block of Obregon Street in the unincorporated area of Whittier. As the deputies drove north on Obregon Street, they observed a shirtless male adult walking in the middle of the road toward a blind curve. The male was later identified as 18-year-old Isaiah Guevara. The deputies stopped their patrol vehicle alongside Guevara, intending to ask him not to walk in the middle of the road for his own safety. Guevara...
Okay. So we'll back this up to the map. So, not really sure where this occurred at exactly. I wish I would have put a little pin mark right there to indicate it, but this looks like an actual road right here, and I'm suspecting that it's this right here is what we could see, because this looks like a road right here. So I'm going to go back to this screenshot. I'd say that was that overhead road right there, and so that road right there. So directly across from it is a driveway. So yeah, I'd say the incident had most likely have occurred right in here. This I guess this person's little driveway right here. So I think it's right there. All right, we'll get back into it.
Deputies stopped their patrol vehicle alongside Guevara, intending to ask him not to walk in the middle of the road for his own safety. Guevara stopped walking, and while acknowledging the deputy's presence, he turned to face the driver deputy. Guevara was in possession of an extended firearm magazine, which was protruding from his left front pants pocket. In addition, the pistol-style grip from a handgun was protruding from Guevara's right front pants pocket. The driver deputy, who was still seated inside the patrol vehicle, immediately drew his duty weapon to detain Guevara at gunpoint. The driver deputy ordered Guevara to show his hands, but instead Guevara began reaching for the handgun in his front pants pocket. Guevara took a few steps back, and while still facing the driver deputy, he retrieved the handgun from his pants pocket, and a deputy-involved shooting occurred. Guevara was struck by gunfire in the upper body. He fell to the ground and dropped the handgun next to him.
All right. So they have pulled alongside him, saying, "Hey, don't be walking in the middle of the road." That's a reasonable thing. Like, you don't need people walking out in the middle of the fucking roadway. That's a traffic hazard. Now, this guy is carrying a concealed weapon. Excuse me. He's got an extendo sticking up out of his pocket. And then in the other pocket, which you can't see within this camera view, is his gun. So the butt of the gun is sticking out. Completely visible. Obviously, this dude doesn't understand the concept of concealed carry. Keeping it fucking concealed. There are a lot of people, a lot of gun people, who fail at concealed carry a lot of times. Excuse me. Got the yawns. Some because, they're just out in public and it doesn't really matter to them because their state could be an open carry state anyway. Like here in Kentucky, if I were out at Walmart or something like that and I was having to reach up to the top shelf for something and, my shirt rose a little bit and exposed my gun, I'm not going to care too much about it because Kentucky is an open carry state. I could open carry if I wanted to. I don't. It's not a good idea, I think. But I would have no problem with it being exposed. Now, there are some states that say if you carry concealed, it has to be concealed. You can't let your gun show because they're not an open carry state. So for some people, if they do happen to print, if some of the gun happens to show, it doesn't really matter to them because they can't get in trouble for it. Other places, people have to be very mindful about how they conceal carry and stuff like that because they could get in trouble if someone spots the gun. Either way, the idea of concealed carry is keeping it concealed. That way other people don't know that you have it. Especially criminals. Man, I gotta stop yawning. You don't want criminals knowing that you're armed. If you're in a store and criminals come in to rob the place and they see that you got a gun, guess what? You are now their target. If you go for that gun, they see that you got the gun, you go for it, they're going to shoot you. And they may just go ahead and shoot you outright. Just be on their safe side. If not, if they don't shoot you right away, then chances are they're going to take the gun away from you and take your shit too and then leave. So certainly you don't want to give people the advantage over you. So being concealed, truly concealed, keeps you protected. And open carry or having your gun showing, it makes some people, it brings you unwanted attention. Some people, they're not used to guns and they're looking at you like, oh, what's this guy got a gun for? Depending on how you carry and stuff like that, if you carry appendix, something like that, your shirt rises, someone sees the gun, some little old lady who don't know any better, all she sees in the movies is bad guys stick the guns down the front of their pants. And so she sees you with your gun, appendix carry, she may be thinking, oh my God, it's a bad guy. Or, oh my God, they could be here to rob the place, or whatever, some stupid bullshit, and call the police and have an unnecessary contact with law enforcement, all because someone saw the gun and because they was a stupid person, thought that you meant bad intentions and everything, and then called the police. The police don't know. They have no idea. All they know is they're getting a 911 call, guy with a gun. All right, that's what they respond to. So being good at concealed carry is important. You want to minimize your printing and stuff like that. That way people know you don't have it. There are some places. Now that's just in general, out in public. There are some places, for example, people's workplaces that are non-permissive environments. Like, you absolutely 100% cannot let anyone know that you're carrying in that environment, because it could lead to your termination, or depending on the location that you're at, it could lead to criminal charges. So that type of concealed carry is sometimes called deep concealed carry, because you are really concealing that gun now, because the slightest hiccup, the slightest print, the bulge, whatever, can clue people in, and they're like, what is that? And now you're maybe without a job, or B, you're without a job and now you've got criminal charges. This area where this guy's at, this is not a non-permissive environment for him. This is his environment. That's his jungle. He feels comfortable enough walking around with a magazine sticking up out of his pocket, knowing that it's visible to other people. He put the damn thing in his pocket. He put it there. So he fucking knows it does not go all the way down and is hidden. He knows some of it is sticking out. He put that gun in his pocket. He knows some of it is sticking out. But yet he is still walking around like that. Why? Because that's his environment and he is comfortable doing that. That means he's been doing this for a while. That means that for a while he has not run into police doing it like this. There is a shortage of police right now all across the nation. This agency, no different. A few videos back, I did a video on the sheriff's commentary on, I think it was, they call their elected officials in that quorum something weird. It was something, I cannot remember the name of it, but like, some places you have like councilmen, commissioners, magistrates, stuff like that. They called them something. I can't remember what it was, but it was unique. I hadn't heard it before. But those people had voted to not allow the sheriff's office the budget to be able to hire more people, and they're actually going to be losing more people with no way of being able to hire any more. And he gave a figure about how many deputies they were short, and by a certain time, how many more deputies more they were going to be short of. And although I can't remember the specific numbers, it was a lot. I remember thinking, wow, that fucking sucks, because what that means is almost endless overtime for a lot of people. So, like when people start quitting, that's when the overtime starts stacking up and that shit gets old. So I would say that this guy has probably been able to walk around like this in his little hood, or not his, I'm not saying that's the hood, but his area, his environment, his jungle, whatever, his neighborhood. He's been able to walk around that area like that and not think anything different, because he's probably used to not seeing police down there on a regular basis because of that shortage. When there's not enough police around, there's not enough of them to do all this extra patrol stuff and go out and do things and be more visible, because with less of them, they are staying busier call to call. So I'd say this dude was very comfortable doing this due to a lack of police presence, and his complacency caught up to him. And Boom. Police show up out of nowhere with just the simple intention of telling him, hey, get the fuck out of the road. But because his stupid ass had his magazine sticking out of his pocket and his gun sticking out of his pocket, they noticed it. And they started to take action on it.
In addition, the pistol-style grip from a hand seated inside the patrol vehicle immediately drew his, but instead Guevara began reaching for the handgun in his front pants pocket. Guevara took a few steps back, and while still facing the driver deputy, he retrieved the handgun from his pants pocket, and a deputy-involved shooting occurred. Guevara was struck by gunfire in the upper body. He fell to the ground and dropped the handgun next to him.
All right. So you see the gun fall and slide across the driveway here. We'll back it up, see it again. All right. So notice that there's two officers. Passengers getting out, driver still in the vehicle. This officer right here, he already has his gun out. It's pointed at the suspect here. You can see the suspect reaching. He's got a hold of his gun. He's got it gripped. He turns, goes down. Gun goes sliding out. One more time. All right, so think about his shooting position here. Most firearms training occurs on a flat range, standing on the line, aiming at paper targets. It doesn't start in a seated position in a patrol car and then having to aim out the window. So when it comes to your firearms training, there should be some odd, unique positions like this that's done during training to get people to experience the odd and awkward shooting positions, to develop those skills to be able to better think outside the box. Like a vehicle tactics class. So a vehicle tactics class would be something that all officers should go through, because what do they work in? They work in fucking cars. So if they are in and around their car in the majority of the time, it would make sense to do a vehicle tactics specific class where they learn to shoot from in their vehicle and around their vehicle, under their vehicle, shooting into vehicles, etc. And one of the things that you can do in such a class is have officers shoot from the driver's seat. Just like this same setup right here, target right there, and they got to draw and fire from within that vehicle, and then fight their way out of the vehicle. Firearms training should never just be contained to just the flat line or the flat range. Should never just be contained to that. That's horrible if that's the only thing you do with your firearms training, is just stand on the line punching holes in a paper target. It needs to be more dynamic than that. Now in the beginning it has to be like that. That's where you learn those fundamentals at. But once the fundamentals are down and that student is able to progress, that progression should involve dynamics. Learn your fundamentals statically, and then learn and build upon that dynamically. Get them moving. Have them shoot from a seated position. Have them shoot from their backs. Have them shoot laying on their belly. Have them shoot in a fetal position, laying on their side. Hell, if you've got the harnesses and the ropes to do it, put them in a harness and put a rope on them and hang them upside down. Have them shoot upside down. Get them used to having to shoot in weird and uncomfortable positions. That way, if the shit happens in real life, that's not the first time they had to shoot laying on their side in a fetal position, shooting under the fucking car at a target. It would be the second time that they've had to do that, and it's more somewhat natural to them because they've experienced it before. If your firearms training is strictly on a range, standing on the line, shooting at a paper target, and you're never moving around, then you're not really training anymore. You're just playing with your gun, which is almost synonymous with playing with your dick. You're not doing anything fucking constructive. So get out there, move around, get dynamic once you've learned those fundamentals. So he went to sleep. All right, so I don't know what his injuries were, but that was an immediate incapacitation right there. So watch, instead of focusing on just one thing, what I'm doing right now with my eyes is I'm kind of just looking at this space in between the vehicle. Both of them are a little bit fuzzy in appearance. I'm just kind of focusing right here in the middle, and I'll see the plume of the gun come out, and I can see him moving. Some people would be like, oh, he shot when he turned his back. No, he didn't shoot when he turned his back. He shot before. So he was in the middle of starting to turn, but he did not initially shoot him. I think this guy's turning because the shot did fire and hit him. And it's instantaneous. This is an incapacitating hit. So I don't know if a round hit the guy in the head and that was instantaneous lights out for him, or if the round went up and just completely destroyed the aorta, or went in through the chest and hit the spine and just instantly dropped him. I don't know. I wish that they would include information like that, what the extent of the injuries were, but it was a very fast incapacitation. So I believe that he was either shot in the head, or if the round went into his thoracic cavity or his neck area, that it hit the spine and just switched him off. He doesn't really move after that, so that's what leads me to think that it was a headshot or a spine shot. So, what do we see here? Not a whole lot. So he reaches down. It looks like he tries to activate his camera and it doesn't work. He shoots. He tries to activate it again. It looks like he realizes the car is not in park, so he transitions the gun to his left hand, puts it in park with his right, and then starts to exit the vehicle. This is something where I think it would be a good idea to maybe practice engaging the emergency brake with one foot to be able to keep your hand on the gun and not have to worry about trying to reach over with your gun hand and put the car in park. Obviously, as a right-handed shooter. If you're a left-handed shooter in this kind of scenario, well then, hey, that's a plus for you. You can hold the gun with your dominant hand, which would be your left, cover the target, and then reach over with your right and very easily put the gear selector into park. As a right-handed person, that's difficult to do this. It's just, you could reach across your body maybe and try to hit the gear selector, but it's not going to be that fluid and easy as a left-handed person would. So for instances like this, I think it would be a good idea to possibly practice mashing that emergency brake with your foot and then getting out of the vehicle that way. That way you got your hand on the gun. You haven't had to look over or anything to see the gear selector and put it in the place or transition the gun out of your hand to be able to facilitate that. Just mash that emergency brake in with your foot and then dismount the vehicle. He tried to activate the camera there. So this is like he's trying it again. Finally.
Assisting deputies respond.
So I don't know what's going on with his camera, why he couldn't get it activated, but he has some issues getting it activated. Now, my thoughts are, they saw this dude in the road. He knew he was going to be getting out with him, or at least stopping and talking with this guy. Why not go ahead and turn it on then? Turn it on while making the approach. That way it's already rolling. I'm a big fan of anytime I plan to go deal with someone, I just reach up and double tap the camera. That way when I do get to that person, it's already on. It's already recording. And if something happens instantaneously, I don't have to worry about trying to turn that camera on because it's already on. It's one less thing that I'm going to have to fucking deal with in a fight. That's the best thing I think to do is before you get out with people, turn the damn camera on. If you happen to make a bunch of useless recordings, then so be it. You made a bunch of useless recordings. I would much rather have a bunch of useless recordings that I have to freaking go through and delete every day, every night, than to potentially miss out on capturing something so fucking critical that it could mean the difference in me being exonerated or not.
Assisting deputies responded to the scene and rendered medical aid to Guevara. Los Angeles County Fire Department paramedics responded and continued life-saving efforts, but Guevara was pronounced dead at the scene. A loaded polymer 80 ghost gun, 9mm semi-automatic handgun, and 130 round extended pistol magazine, loaded with 19 live 9mm rounds, were recovered.
All right, a ghost gun and an extendo. So he had a 30 round magazine, but he only had 19 rounds. So where the fuck do the other guns go? Or I'm sorry, not the other guns. Where do the other bullets go? So that means that he didn't have another magazine on him. We see the gun here, no magazine in it. And then the extendo. So when he was pulling that gun out of his pocket, he was pulling a gun out of his pocket that did not have a magazine in it. The magazine was in his other pocket. He still could have had a round in the chamber. But this fool started to pull a gun without a magazine in it out of his pocket on the police. Like, this guy was a special kind of stupid. I am very surprised that he even managed to make it to the age of 18. This level of stupidity, that's pretty freaking amazing. Pretty amazing feat that he somehow managed to survive for 18 trips around the sun and did not get himself taken out any sooner. Like, that's like, who the fuck pulls an empty gun on someone? Like, that is next level stupid right there. So this guy started to pull an empty gun, or at least a gun without a magazine in it. Like I said, there could be one right there. There could have been one in the breech. But this guy started to pull an empty gun out on the police. And then they popped him. Stupid. Stupid. And then why has he got a 30-round magazine but only have 19 rounds in it? Did he shoot those other rounds at other people? Could he only afford? Is that all he could afford? I don't know. The extendo magazines are something that little street thugs, they just love them. You'll actually, if you ever watch any of them, go to their social media and look at the pictures they post. A lot of them will stick the gun in their pocket with the extended magazine sticking out, and they love taking pictures like that. Some of them, when they walk around in their environment where they feel safe, they'll carry like that sometimes too. Now, obviously, he was not feeling bold enough to walk around like that. He took the magazine out of the gun, put magazine in left pocket, left gun in right pocket. Still, one magazine, not even fully loaded, and then his ghost gun here. So ghost gun is something that it seems to be, to me at least, it seems to be something that I only notice in California with regularity. I cannot recall many other places with repetitive incidents where there was a ghost gun involved. Like, not even the New York videos that I do. I'm not even sure if I've seen any ghost gun stuff in the New York videos that I've done. But the New York videos I do, they just have regular guns. California, seems like these fucking ghost guns are everywhere. Almost at this point, calling them a ghost gun with how much they're fucking visible is kind of oxymoronic. They're not really much of a ghost gun if they're fucking everywhere and are that visible. But yeah, California seems to be the place where I see these things the most. And ghost guns, for those of you who don't know, this part of the gun right here, the lower half. So you can see this line going across right there, right? So that's like the separation for the gun. Like, this top part right here will come completely off, and then all you're left with is just this little piece right here. And this lower piece right here, according to law, is the actual registered piece of the firearm. This upper piece right here, you can go buy these little upper pieces all day long and never have to do a background check. You can buy 1,000,000 of these little upper pieces right here. Never have to fill out any special paperwork. Go to a gun store, buy these things, these upper pieces. Never have to worry about filling out any paperwork. This lower part right here, this part is the registered firearm. So if you go into a gun store and all the gun store had was this lower part right here, you would have to do paperwork on this because this is an actual firearm. The quote-unquote loophole for ghost guns is, and you can barely see it, but there's a hole for the gun right here where a pin goes into, and then there's a couple holes right here where these pins go into to be able to contain some of these inner pieces within the gun. Well, when you buy this as a ghost gun kit, those holes are not there. They do not exist. And so because these holes do not exist, you cannot very easily and readily assemble the gun and make it into an actual gun. It's just, without these holes being there, without these holes being drilled, it's just a piece of plastic that resembles a firearm. And so you can go and buy these things all day long and never have to fill out any paperwork for them. So you can buy this online and have it mailed to your door. No problem. It's just a piece of plastic. There's no pieces inside of it either. No holes to put the pins in to hold those pieces in place. So this, you can buy 1,000,000 of these. No issue. When you get it as a kit, there's this little jig that it comes with that you set it in. It holds it in place. It's rock solid. And it has drill bits that you get with it. And so the jig is like 2 halves, pretty much. And you lay the jig base down, put the gun inside of it, and put that other piece on top of it, and it's rock solid. It's not moving anywhere. And then you just take those drill bits, attach it to a drill press, or I guess you can even use a handheld drill, and then drill to the little guide hole, drill through the material of the gun, punch a hole out, and then drill these holes. And then you've taken a piece of plastic that was not considered a firearm, and you now have got something that is now legally considered a firearm because it can now be assembled. Once those holes are complete, then all you have to do is drop these pieces in, take the pins, push the pins, lock them in place, and then attach the top part to it. And now it's a working gun. It seems simple, but of course you got to have, the drill press or the drill stuff to be able to do it. And you kind of have to know how to take these little pieces and put them together inside the gun. Little springs and everything. It's not intuitive. It's not like you could lay these things out in front of a person and then they could instantly figure out how the pieces go together. Like, you have to fucking look at a book or go look at a YouTube video of someone doing it and watch it a couple times to figure out, exactly how to do it. Like, trying to figure out how to tie a certain knot or try to tie a tie. You got to look at it a couple times just to get it right. So it sounds, like I said, it sounds super easy, but unless you know what you're doing, it's going to take you a little bit to figure out how to get this shit to work, put it together. These upper pieces, I think that you can buy the complete upper, no problem, but you could also buy the upper as a kit where it comes without anything in it, and then you get the pieces and you have to assemble that. That right there, trying to assemble all the pieces and put it inside of it, it's not a super easy, intuitive thing to do. You got to know what the fuck you're doing to put the pieces together to make the damn thing work. So these ghost guns that are out there in California being used by these street thugs, some of those people are fucking stupid. And I know that they could not have figured it out, how to do this on their own. Now, there's some, they'd be able to figure it out. I mean, not all criminals are, complete idiots. They're still stupid, but some of them are actually, they can be kind of smart in other ways. A lot of them are really good at math. Really good. Little walking fucking calculators. Some of them are. which is always interesting to me when it comes to English and history and all the other shit. Dumb as a rock, but damn it, they good with numbers. And some of them are mechanically inclined, so to speak. But there's some, like, they stupid. I mean, they a special kind of stupid. And there ain't no way they fucking figuring this shit out. Trying to drill a hole in it, they fucking drill a hole in their dick. That's how stupid some of them are. So, not all of them are doing this on their own. I would suspect that there's probably like multiple people out there who are smart enough to do this stuff, and they buy all these kits and they assemble them, and then they become black market gun dealers and they just sell shit to people. So I'd say it's a combination of the two. Number one, some of them are smart enough to know how to do this on their own. They buy the stuff, it comes to their house, they assemble it, boom, they got a gun. The other ones who are fucking stupid, they go out and buy it from the dudes who are smart enough to do all this, and then and they're selling them as a business. So what is that? That's an illegal firearms manufacturing and dealing business. That's something the ATF needs to go after. That's something that the FBI should be somewhat focusing on, because that's federal stuff at that point. If you're operating a gun selling business and you don't have a license, that's federal right there. So definitely, for sure, the ATF needs to be focusing on these little street thugs who are doing this stuff. Now, of course, California and the anti-gun people, they always talk about, oh, ghost guns don't have serial numbers on them. So, the hell is a serial number going to do? How's that going to help you? How's that going to protect you? It's not. So, let's say a lawful gun owner goes and buys a gun from a gun store that has a serial number on it. They take it home. They leave it at home. They go to work. Someone breaks in their house and steals that gun. And then goes back to their hood. And they use it in the commission of crimes. How is that gun having a serial number on it helping anyone? It's not. The only way it helps is when the lawful owner reports it as stolen, gives the police the serial number, and then if the police were to ever come into contact with that asshole and find the gun, they run the serial number, boom, stolen. Receiving stolen firearm, boom, gotcha. But that's if they leave the serial number on there. Some of them will file the serial number off. So then the cops find a jackass with a gun that has no serial number on it. They can't run it. They don't know who it goes to. They just know it's a defaced firearm. Serial numbers only help the good guys in being able to get their stuff back if the police ever catch the bad guys with it. It's just like your TV. Your TV's got a serial number on it. Your laptop, your computer has a serial number on it. Your cell phone has a serial number on it. Your bicycle, if you have a bicycle, there's a serial number on that bicycle. Lots of things have serial numbers on them. They're used for tracking. Let's say, you get a TV and it shorts out and causes a fire. Well, it's got a serial number on it. And the company can go back and be like, oh, yeah, well, this serial number is part of this lot or this batch of TVs that was made. There's a recall on it, blah, blah, blah. Or let's say that something, a bunch of TVs started catching fire and they ran, they got information on it, serial numbers, and like, oh, we identified that this batch of TVs was made, and they could put out a notice, hey, we're doing a recall on these TVs. If you have these serial numbers, this is your affected TV, bring it in. It helps in cases like that, or when someone steals that shit. That's a unique identifier for that thing. The only other reason why serial numbers would be of any importance to anyone in relation to firearms is when compiling a database to track gun owners, to see what person specifically has. And that's wrong. There should not be a database keeping track of lawful gun owners. Lawful gun owners are not the fucking problem. The criminals are the problem. You think criminals will go steal a gun and then call someone and be like, hey, I just recently acquired a gun. Here's my serial number. No. Not at all. It's not going to happen. So databases recording serial numbers to lawful gun owners is wrong. But that's the only other reason why there'd be, or not why there'd be serial numbers. That's the only other thing that the serial number could be used for that's on a gun. And that's what the anti-gun people want. They want a national database compiling all guns here in the U.S. and who owns them. Imagine if Hitler had something like that. How happy would he be to have a list of all the Jews who own guns and what specific guns they own? That is why I say there should never be a database like that to exist. If some tyrant was to get in office and try to become the next Hitler, then they could identify who has guns, take those guns from them, and then start rounding people up. That's essentially what happened to the Jews. There was legislative processes that happened to make it unlawful for them to own guns, and they complied with those lawful orders, those laws, and they gave up their guns. They turned them in. And then after that, you know history. People were rounded up and put in gas chambers and sent to death camps. And there was not a fucking thing they could do about it. When the Nazis came to their door and knocked on the door, the only thing they could do was open their fucking door with the suitcase. They could not open that door and put a rifle in a Nazi's face. They had no way of fighting back. That's why a database showing gun owners and what they got is should not ever exist. Like if I'm gonna leave it there because I feel like I'm gonna go into a long rant, and I need to try to avoid going into these rants. So anyway, yeah, the serial number piece, is what they all talk about. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just not like it's helping anything. The extended magazine. So this is obviously, this gun is this polymer frame and everything. It's made to be similar to a Glock. Has a very similar footprint and design that's based off the Glock pistol. And so is this magazine. So this is an aftermarket magazine that's made to go into a Glock pistol. I can't really make out that logo very well. I don't know what it is. But a lot of your aftermarket stuff isn't very great. There's like some Korean extended magazines for Glocks. They're not always known as the best. The only aftermarket magazine for Glocks that I'm aware of that are good are PMags. I've got several of those that I've got in my box for training, and I haven't had any problems with them. I haven't had one issue with them. So if it came down to me having to use a PMag for carry use or duty use, I would have no problem with it, because as long as I've had those mags and how many rounds I've put through them, they've worked great. Other magazines, not so much, not the greatest quality.
Covered at the scene. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's continued evidence.
So that is it from their video. They go through and say the normal spiel of bullshit.
We call it depth and
all right, so that's really it. There's not really anything else to talk about for this video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.